I thought I'd take a couple minutes here to talk about why I started this channel and what I hope to do with it, or I hope that it's able to do, I guess. Obviously, I'm an adjuster. You know, there's just so many things that I wish had been a little easier to learn or find out or get information on when I started. It seems like this just hasn't changed a whole lot. The firms, it seems like they capitalize on the fact that we don't talk to each other very much, or that there's a lot of misinformation out there. Don't get me wrong, they need experienced people. They've got to protect their livelihoods and their insurers or their carriers. You know, it just it takes a tremendous amount of time and a tremendous amount of work, I thought anyway, to get anywhere or get any answers. And when you do, you're so thankful that you get an answer that you'll take anything you get. I'm not one of these blowhard guys says, by golly, if you're not getting 70% of your dailies, that's just not going to work. That's it's neither here nor there. If 55% works for you and you make a great living for you and your family or whomever you want to make it for, then that's what you need to go do. I'm a firm believer in that, and that is how I live my life. It's how I work my work. It's how I handle my firms, you know. It's even how I take care of the insurance the best that I can. So anyway, so generally, I just wanted to take a second and make an introductory video. Obviously, this is the first video on the channel. I've got some pretty big plans for the website, to blog, basically. And this YouTube channel, I think it's going to do a lot to help a lot of people. At least that's what I wanted to do anyway. We'll have a Facebook group, that type of thing. So I think it's important to touch on a few things. Nothing in my videos or my website is intended to be absolutely perfect. Obviously, to get the disclaimer out of the way, what you do with the information I provide is entirely up to you. Whether or not you can make a living has more to do with your own ability or inability to perform the work that people are asking you to do. If you know, you're good enough, you'll probably make a pretty good living. Other than that, there's nothing that I can do or say here on this channel or on my website that can change any of that. So this is intended, none of this is offered as obviously legal advice. This is only intended to be for informational purposes. So with that said, I want to talk a little bit, the things that I want to cover just right off the top. The first short list I just made a list a second ago. You see I got my trusty adjuster clipboard. You know, I think we all buy those in bulk. So, you know, first thing I want to talk about is we're going to talk about, as much as I can, I'm going to provide information that's going to relate to getting work, how to get work, how to make your resume look right, who to send your resume to, what they're looking for, that type of thing. Obviously, I can't read minds, but I can tell you what works for me and what other people advise doing, and I intend to share that information so that you don't have to go through 10 million Facebook posts to get it right. Next thing is it's important. I, like every job I go on to, I deal with contractors quite a bit. We all do. I really enjoy that part of it. Yes, I was a contractor in a past life, but that really has nothing to do with it. I left contracting because of the customers, not because of the competition. I was great at what I did. I enjoyed it, but the customers got to the point where they really just kind of sucked the life out of it for me. So for my own personal reasons, I left. And I went into adjusting because I get a lot of feel good out of it, and I think it shows when I visit with the insured and I interact with the contractors. And you know, to me, that's my game plan. That's what I want. I want it to show that I like what I'm doing. So, we'll touch on working with contractors. I'll tell you what works for me. I'll tell you my approach. You know, contractors are there to do a job just like we are. PAs are there to do a GS. I know I use the public adjuster word. It's such a bad word. But PAs are there to do a job as well, and when you're lucky you find a good PA, and when you find a good PA, they're usually very educated and they're very good at what they do because they've been doing it a very long time. Just like you, they needed a break, and that is where they got their break. So I usually like to listen and interact with them quite a bit because you never know what you're going to learn. Some of the other things we're going to touch on are, in my opinion, I think we're fairly limited by the protocol that the carrier sets forth. That's not our fault, but it is our job to kind of uphold that law of that town or of that claim. So I'm going to talk quite a bit about protocol. You know, what I have for my protocol for my carriers is probably going to be different than the protocol that you have for your carriers. So, you'll see some of the things as we go through and write estimates or that I talk about. In my opinion, it's, these are my opinions. It's going to be different. I guess it's a good way to say from what you find. But to me, the objective is to remain open because you are providing a service. And in providing that service, you need to meet the protocol because that's what they want. Simple. You hit the protocol, you check mark, you hit all the check boxes and fill out the protocol. And to me, I did my job. If they go get a PA or a lawyer after that, I've done everything I can do to mitigate it. You need me to reopen the file to write estimate? I don't feel bad because you don't want me to write for whatever was grossly overlooked, Obviously, I'm going to talk quite a bit about Xactimate. To me, Xactimate is just another estimating program. I was very fortunate in my early years as a contractor. I did a ton of estimating, but what was really valuable for me at my age, especially now, I'm just on the edge of being almost too old for computers, is I helped our family business switch over from paper to electronic age. And in doing that, not only I wrote my own estimating program that worked very well. I had about 35 men, and I was able to keep them very busy. But then we purchased a very expensive, large estimating program that I was able to capitalize on. And if it hadn't been for that experience, I don't think I could use Xactimate the way that I do today. So you're going to find a lot of my things I want to talk about the estimating program. It's a tool and how to capitalize on that tool. And the object isn't to turn out a perfect estimate. You can have a perfect estimate. The object is to turn out as perfect of an estimate as you can. But let's face it, this is a numbers game. So the more files you turn over, the better you do, the more money you make. So you've got to be efficient. You've got to be quick. You've got to understand the program, know how to work the program, and get that stuff turned in so that you can move forward to the next claim. Because ultimately, if you're not closing claims, you're not going to get new claims. That I'm sure you know. So, one of the other things that I want to talk about that we're going to try to touch on on this channel, on the website, is training. I'm not going to teach anybody how to go get their license. I'm not going to teach anybody what this, the whole idea behind the Good Adjuster is all I wanted to be when I started was a good adjuster. I wanted to be good enough that everybody wanted me. I wanted to be good enough that everybody liked me when they heard from me, as far as they weren't afraid I was going to underwrite their estimate. I wanted to be the go-to guy. That was my objective. It's a little bit old school, but so that's kind of where this comes from, is the idea behind good adjusters: be as good of an adjuster as you can. So those are the things that I'm going to talk about. Those are the kind of training things that I'm going to try to touch on. I'm going to try to provide videos that will help you be a good adjuster. Be the best adjuster you can. When you do that, you're going to feel good. Your insurers are going to feel comfortable. The carriers are going to like you. And the firms are going to want to use you. Almost exactly in that order. So obviously, I think we'll probably evolve into some training modules. I'll probably offer some one-on-one training. I'm going to try to provide as much support as I can. This whole channel, the website, playing with the idea of a book, is going to be geared towards providing information for today's adjuster that's up to date. It's going to be out of date in 3 years. It doesn't really matter, but the only books you can really find on Amazon are 12 years old. Back then, they were practically still using Polaroids. So, so that's the goal here, is to provide that information. So, obviously, it's my first video. I think that they will get better as we go. It took me a little while to decide whether or not to do this. So hopefully it's not too boring for you, because, I've done some other really good things online. Mostly I enjoy reaching out and helping other people, educating, and that's kind of what this is about. So if you stick with me, I think over the next few months, I think you're going to find some valuable information, hopefully some valuable contacts, some version of that. So anyway, I appreciate you tuning in. Please, if you do me a favor and subscribe, you'll get it's on one side of the screen here somewhere. But If you'll just go ahead and do me a favor, subscribe, you'll get a notification every time I put out a new video. And the idea is to have quite a few of these videos that should complement the website as well. So anyway, thanks again for joining the Good Adjuster, and we'll see you soon. Be careful out there.